SwayamPrabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Then the third project was Hero Motors step-through bike, and this step-through bike was for Argentina. It was for an export market, so we had to really work very hard with their export team, with the clients in Argentina. The student was sitting in IIT Delhi, and with a lot of sketches. So this gave us a very important inspiration that your visual sketches become very, very important for your design journey. Visualization of sketches help you in the collaborative model for innovation. And you can see how the client wanted a hidden tucked bag inside the side pocket. So this bag actually would go and this side pocket would close. So because grocery was very, very important for the step-through bike. A lot of women would ride these bikes in that country, and they wanted the styling to match their perceptions. So they sent a lot of image boards for this work, and that's how the whole product had come up. And then the student built a small scale model. This was just 1/5 scale model, very small. And with this model, a lot of inputs came. When you make models, the biggest advantage is the collaborative team can give you a lot of comments. They can give you a lot of inputs to how things will happen. Using those inputs, the student then built a full scale montage. But why is it a montage? What is a montage over a regular sort of model? A montage only has half of it. You don't notice it? Everything is half. You don't have the backside of it. So then becomes a montage. When you build half by layers, you can also build like layers, and there's a foam montage, and then it's a full scale montage, so you can really stand next to it, take all the inspiration, and everything can happen. And this is the full scale working prototype, and all done within a span of 6 months. And the company Hero Motors was thrilled to see this progress, because in their company, they take 3 years to build such a thing. And we finished in 6 months. This happens because of the collaborative teaming, because of the type of intensity the core team works on the work. And and here, for example, you can see every part, including the special rear view stands, the basic stand, the stands for the pillion rider, the seat design, the grab rail. And you remember this tuck away pocket? You open this box, you get a large bag which come out of this pocket, and you can put groceries on both the sides. A lot of storage was a very important thing, and this was completed that time. So while doing all this, what we were doing at the back, we were actually assimilating all the learning. What's happening? Whom are we talking to? How are we working on this project? What are the inputs we are getting from the team? What are the inputs we are getting from the external team? All that we are logging. I'm not showing you that log, but I'll show you in the end how the log helped us to build the model. And then the fourth model was the lock for Godrej. Again, Godrej said, we want a lock. We are the largest lock company, but we are threatened again by foreign brands coming in with low cost. So we make a verti-bolt, which is 50% of the cost of the current product. So again, the same phenomenon of making a lot of ideas, choosing one idea which could be an integrated design. Because what's the best way of reducing the cost? Reduce the number of components, right? And then this student actually did shadowing of a lock repairer in Bombay. He actually went behind a lock repairer, worked with him for 3-4 days. Then he came and told me, so it's really unfortunate that the lock in Bombay, because of the breeze, the door closes, and if the verti-bolt is on, the lock breaks. The lock breaks inside because it is made up of aluminium casting. The inside parts are made of aluminium casting. So aluminium casting, because of impact, they can break. So he was saying that even if a repair guy comes, he has to replace the lock rather than repair it, because everything is broken inside. So that was a big, learning from the user study. So the user study became a very important domain of learning from a design point of view. So the user studies became critical, understanding of the people, understanding of the end user, understanding of the people who service your product. All that became very critical. So with that, we did this whole journey. And here you can see this lock. And the best part of this was again collaboration between the teaming of Godrej Locks division as well as the teaming at IIT Delhi, who was specialist in sheet metal manufacturing. You can see here, this whole thing is one piece. Because the whole thing is one piece, it became extremely low cost, and that was using alloy sheet metal. And this alloy sheet metal would, really, give you the complete sort of, one single shot mold. So here the product cost came down by 50% of the total journey. So this is the final product. Again, Godrej also was pretty excited about this project, and we submitted the project to them, and we did all the work forward. So the fifth one was the most interesting one for me, because I think I'll answer some of your questions with the fifth one. So out of the 5 projects we took as live projects, we wanted all of them to become innovation, right? But our journey in the research was to come up with the initial sector of the innovation journey, which was the seed, the innovation idea, right? The idea is also as important as the total journey which takes forward. I think by now because of other case studies. So here, for example, this company completely, sort of out of market because of the L&T petrol pump, and they wanted to come up with a new product with new systems and new services. We built the same, type of teaming with the student, with the experts, with the company people. We built this whole pump. You can see here, this was inspired by a mobile phone. There's an old Nokia mobile phone inspiration, and interesting things that the hose was coming from the top because of that inspiration. And that became a very big USP. A form inspiration became a unique selling proposition for this product, because this product was able to deliver more petrol per minute than any other product because of very smooth flow of petrol from the top. Again, because of the use of contemporary materials, contemporary technologies, contemporary idea generation, and a collaborative team, we could come up with the prototypes. Again, here, within a year, the prototypes were built and they were installed on in Savory in Bombay. The customer, who was like the oil companies, were extremely glad to place orders, and became a runaway success, and became one of the largest selling petrol pumps in the country during those 3 years of its production. So here we have one case out of all of 5 cases which saw the light of the day. So what is the learning from the real case studies? We got a clear understanding of the effective functioning of the collaborative model. We built a collaborative model which is rough. How do we need to collaborate with everybody? Because you take a project here in IDC, when you do projects, what do? You're the only guy who's working on the project. At the most, you'll go to the guide to get your inputs from. Then you need to we very clearly came up with 3 separate teams with distinct responsibilities. We realized that there are generally 3 teams of people working. There's a team which is like working 100% on the project. Like I told you, the student and the guides and all were 100%. There's a team which would give a lot of support in the middle. So the support team was very important. And finally, the team which would give a lot of creative inputs to the whole journey was the creative input team. So that was happening with the 3 teams. And the roles and responsibilities of the team in the idea generation process, had to be, specified and ascertained. So we'll show you the models now from the learnings. So each of these learning, like, as I was showing you the case studies, built up some propositions. Like, for example, the collaborative network, can work on idea generation. See, if you want to build a collaborative network, you must have experts and people from diverse areas to lead to innovative ideas, so that you can come up with, innovative ideas. The proposition 2 is you have to divide your idea generation process into steps that will lead to better control in the process, as well as generating and nurturing ideas. So when I say steps, you can't say that I made one idea, immediately go back and build a model. You have to have a lot of ideas. You have to build concepts. Out of the 3 concepts, you have to choose the right concept by, by the stages. And after choosing that, you need to refine the concept. So those type of steps become very, very critical. That's part of our design process anyway. So that step-by-step process, when you have step-by-step process, what happens? You can actually get very good inputs from your collaborative team. You can get inputs from your industry. You can get inputs from your partners very effectively. Otherwise, you won't get input, because if you show the final result, how will you build their inputs into your results? It's not possible to build their inputs. So that becomes very, very critical. The proposition 3, remember I was talking about visual representation of ideas. You remember the step through bike, where because of the sketches, we could get a lot of creative inputs from all the partners in the collaborative team. Let it be the industry partners, let it be the marketing partners, let it be the partners from, IIT professors. That was happening in a very, very strong way. And that resulted in evolutionary development of ideas. And the 4th proposition was the flexibility. You have to be very flexible in your idea generation stage, where you should be open to ideas and open to changes in the design process. So those changes were also very critical. So let me now show you the model which generated out of all these case studies. So this is a very, very simple model called the collaborative model for new product innovation. So in this model, you have the core team who has a full responsibility of innovation. That is, they're working 100% on the project. If you are doing a design in a company, the core team would be like the team which is working 100% time on it. The enterprise-wide team would be the team which will be working around 20 to 30% of the time they would spend on the design. And the network team would be the ones who just give you simple ideas. They would be just spending 5% or 2% of their time. They'll be just available for your meetings. They'll be your vendors, they'll be your technology providers, all those. So this simple idea of dividing your process into 3 teams can lead to successful innovation. And you remember I was talking about the stages in the process. So you have to have the idea generation here, then you have the concept focus, you have the multiple concepts here, the 3 concepts, you do the concept detailing, and then you finally do the refinement. So when you have these stages, you can get inputs from various members very, very effectively into the team. And here we have the core team. The core team has people who can be in the core team, can be designers, R&D experts, management representatives, creativity experts. Depending upon your project, you can choose the type of people who will be in your core team. Similarly, in the enterprise-wide team, you have finance, because finance is a very important aspect of it, right? You have to make tools, you have to make processes. You have product planning people, you have engineering design people who will be, part of your enterprise-wide. Your manufacturing, HR, R&D. So depending upon your project, you can choose the type of enterprise-wide cross-functional team which will be there with you. And then, of course, the most creative inputs came from the network external team. Remember, I was talking about the dual chamber bottle, where the pet manufacturers gave us a lot of interesting ideas about material. Similarly, in the issues of the bike, we went to a sort of Maruti, which was manufacturing deep drawn parts, who gave a lot of input to the parts. So that becomes very, very critical. And they can all be technology experts. They could be academic institutes who do research in these areas. They can become your very, very great source of innovative ideas. So this is the composition all put together. See, these are all the people, and here you can see this, cross at every stage. You are meeting everybody. So at every stage of your design process, you are actually collaborating with your enterprise-wide team, and you are getting inputs from your network external team. Because of those inputs, your design would map much more carefully. So in the collaborative model, now putting all the slides together, we see how the composition works. So here we have the core team, and the core team is represented by this pipe over here. Then we have the enterprise-wide team, which is this, this color over here, and then the external team here. So there's a complete network across these teams, and the functions of each team is mentioned over here. The composition here is the supplier, the distributor, the technology provider, the institutes which are giving you various inputs, the R&D institutes, the consultants, the psychologists, and the user groups which will help you to build your model. And the enterprise-wide team would be the part of the team which is within the company, the product planning, the finance, the R&D team, the engineering team, the materials team which would support you with new materials, the marketing, manufacturing, and human resource. The enterprise-wide team is very critical in the design phase, because you should know what type of company synergy is there, because without a company synergy you can't do innovation. And they are the ones which will because they're part of the company, there will be a lot of support for the innovation to go forward. So that is a very interesting team. And of course we talked about the core team with all the designers and collaborators in that. So once the composition is there, very important aspects is the functions. What should each team function? So the core team, these are all the core team functions. The core team has to conduct creativity workshops across people. They have to capture good ideas across the various teams. They have to nurture ideas. Once you capture an idea, you have to make sketches and nurture those ideas and create value. Then you have to also evaluate ideas. For example, it's very difficult for idea generation across a team. And when you generate ideas, whatever ideas will you select and reject is a very important challenge here. Then you have to make ideas work. You have to do knowledge brokering, bring knowledge into ideas. You have to collaborate with other team members. That's a very important function. And of course, visualization and collaboration is part of the functions of the main core team. Then you have the enterprise-wide team. They also behave as innovation triggers, because See, enterprise-wide team is within the company. They have a lot of problems in the current products, which they can become like innovation triggers. Oh, the cost should be low, or the product should be more user-friendly. The product should be, lightweight. So all those innovation triggers come from the enterprise-wide team. They are, across the disciplines. They look at the feasibility very closely. They help you with the feasibility, and of course, they'll help you with evaluating ideas, which is very, very critical. And then we have the external team. They provide you, beautiful ideas for various inputs for coming up with creative ideas. They act as a knowledge broker. They also are user groups, which are your external team. They would evaluate your product and tell you how your products will work. And of course, there are a lot of people who will be material suppliers and other materials and new manufacturing. For their idea is to sell their materials to you, but they give you a lot of input to build your functions. So these are, by putting the functions now into place, you again build your whole model. So we have a model for the composition and we have a model for the function. So putting these two things together, we have done a lot of projects, and these projects have been very, very successful. Remember, I was telling you about the postbox project. We exactly used the model, and our letterbox became successful. We did a palki design for Vaishno Devi. Now 100 palkis are flying in Vaishno Devi. That became very, very successful. So we using this methodology. We also did this methodology training for companies like Ashok Leyland and for outside sources, and they're also using this model, and it becomes very effective. The advantage of a model is that you can actually earmark and pinpoint and take care of all the steps so that innovation can happen in the best possible way. Because we're involving the CEOs very early in the phase, what's happening is, and because of the success stories now, people have much, much more confidence in using a model to take things forward in the right direction if you want to come up with new innovations in the field. I think one of the questions which was asked was, out of the 5 projects, which of them went into the market. So as I told you, the petrol pump, the bullet petrol pump did very well in the market because the company management was very, very keen in spending that extra resources on tooling and taking the product forward. Whereas the other projects, for example, we didn't see much traction from the company side. After the project got over, they never followed up with us to take the projects forward. But we are happy with the type of progress, because generally across the domain, they say that generally there is 10% success out of an innovation journey. Here we achieved, in this, while we work for the model, we achieved around 20% success because one product became a runaway success. A very good count in innovation success.
Why is it like that? Okay, some companies, even after knowing it's a very innovative product, why don't they
take it up? That's a very, very good question. In fact, that's a big challenge that they all know that is good. They know that they're going to give them good market, but the biggest challenge comes to what happens to our current line. What will happen to and then biggest challenge, what will happen to the investment which we give? Because it's a new product, right? They don't know the market. They don't know whether it'll sell. That's the reason why we are saying that the collaborative network should help us to link with the users very early in the phase, so that the users become part of my journey. So, for example, in for Hero Cycles, very clearly it was a risky proposition. See, innovation is always risky, right? So, the risky proposition, they're not ready to spend money on the risky proposition, but they were ready to spend money on their current welding robots, for example. So these are the challenges which we face when we take the innovation journey. But whereas very clearly, if you look at the Nano story, if the top management like Ratan Tata said, nothing doing, I need to get this car, should be a car, but it should be half the price, then things can go forward in a very effective way. So you have to really have deep pockets to take in the innovation journey forward.
Can you explain more of the features of the bike you made?
Yeah, this bike was very interesting. This bike, the main features of the bike was that they gave a lot of style requirements from Argentina. They said these are the type of bikes which are running currently. They should be like one of them. If you make something completely drastic, nobody will use it. That was the major, aesthetic considerations. And the other considerations were that you need to have utility which will not hamper the aesthetics. For example, you can put a basket in front to carry vegetables, but the bag should be hidden inside the bike. So all the bags which are jetting out, which are flexible bags, were hidden into the flanks of the bike. So when you use the bike normally, it looks beautiful. And then when you're carrying vegetables, the bags are pulled out of their hiding, and you can put things. And especially the rear view mirrors, all of them are stylized. They want every component to be stylized in a way to have impact in the market for the riders. And the step through was a very important component of Argentina. Step through is a very popular concept there, and they were to dovetail into the step through concept by taking our product over there. Otherwise, most of the products were from Japan. Yeah, okay. So come then, we'll head to our class. Thanks.